take a journey through the paranormal with the Paranormal Portal.
Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Kieran Begg, through this journey of the paranormal. Thank you very much for joining and listening and getting involved. I thought I would take this opportunity as the first episode of the Paranormal Portal to be able to tell you about me, about my love for the paranormal, how I got into the field, and my interest in all things to do with paranormal. So I think my interest started when I was probably about 11 years old, and my dad used to work as a drama teacher in a school, and the drama studio that he worked from, he always claimed was haunted by a poltergeist, which they lovingly called George. And George used to move things around. He used to touch students. He used to speak to students, and the staff and the students had learned to accept George being there. But every single week, my dad would come back with different stories about what George had done, and I would be absolutely fascinated by the things that George had done. And every single week, I would ask my dad, what has he done? Who's he touched? What has he moved? This is, absolutely brilliant. So every time we would go and see a show, I would always have the anticipation that something was going to happen with George, and that I would finally witness something. But of course, nothing ever did. When I was, I must have been about 13, Most Haunted came on TV, and my dad told me about this new paranormal show, and I was absolutely hooked on it from the first episode that I watched, and I watched it religiously week on week, and the lives became like a event in my house because I loved them so much, and I would love watching them, and I would actually get ownership of the TV for a whole night because I was allowed to watch the lives, and I would watch them religiously. Now, when I was about 14, I had my first paranormal experience, and that was when I was at a friend's house. We had decided to bunk off school one day, and it was off sports, and we didn't really like sports, and we decided to go to his house and eat pizza and watch films. So we went into the kitchen and we started to cook the pizza. I put the pizza in the oven, and as the pizza was cooking, he suggested that we go and get his pet rat out, and he loved this rat. He doted after it. And the only room that he was allowed to take the rat out in was the upstairs bathroom, because it was small and there was no holes in there for the rat to disappear in, and we could keep an eye on him. So we took the rat into the bathroom, took him out of his cage and let him have a run around. He was probably running around for about 10 minutes. And he had a pull string light in the bathroom, and I was stood against the door, just blocking the door so the rat didn't get out. And the pull string light pulled, and there was a click, and the light went off. Instantly I thought, what on earth was that? And I said to him, obviously I didn't touch it, I was nowhere near it, and then it clicked and went back on, and that really freaked us out because there was no explanation for why this light would be doing it. I thought maybe it was an electricity surge or something, but so we started putting the rat back in the cage quite quickly because we wanted to get out of the bathroom, when the light did it again, and at this point we knew something wasn't right. And then it did it one more time, and it turned on, and we bolted it out of the bathroom, put the rat back into his bedroom, and ran back downstairs. We didn't really think much of it after about 10 minutes after we calmed down and tried to come up with some rational explanation for it. Until my friend said, we need to go and clean up because the rat's made a mess. We need to go and get the Hoover and we need to clean it up. So he went upstairs, got the Hoover, and we went back up into the bathroom, and we started to Hoover the sawdust up and any droppings that he had left. And as we were hoovering, the light did it again. And this really, really freaked us out. This really scared us. So we dropped the Hoover and we ran downstairs, and we could still hear the Hoover humming while we were downstairs in the kitchen. And we were trying our best to rationalize what was going on. And as we came up with some form of explanation as to what happened, the Hoover went off. It switched off and the hum wasn't there anymore. So we got really quite freaked out by the fact that this Hoover had stopped. And then we went back upstairs to try and figure out why this Hoover had started. And obviously we went up with quite a lot of trepidation, and we slowly climbed the stairs. And as we got to the top of the stairs, I realized that the Hoover had been unplugged from the wall. So the plug socket was right by the top of the stairs. And it wasn't one of us because we didn't pull it out as we were running because neither of us tripped. We could still hear the Hoover humming when we were downstairs. So I plugged in the Hoover again, finished off hoovering up, and I unplugged the Hoover. And we were so freaked out that I didn't want to stay up there any longer, so we just left the Hoover where it was. So we went back downstairs, started having our food, and then we heard the Hoover start up again. And I know for a fact that I had unplugged it, so I thought this was impossible. So when we went back upstairs, right enough, the Hoover had been plugged in again, and it was started up again. So we ran out of the house. And as we ran out of the house, we ran out into the back garden, and we turned back to look into the house. And the way his house was, you could see, there was a window you could see right into the kitchen. And when we looked back at the house and we looked into the kitchen, we could see what looked like an old woman stood there in like a white nightie with crazy hair. And his mum had been given a bunch of lilies, which she'd put in the window. And this woman looked like she was looking at the window, looking at the lilies and tending the lilies. And I said to him, without even saying I was seeing an old woman, I said, "Do you see that?" And he said, "Yes, an old woman." And I didn't go back to his house for a couple of months after that because I was so terrified about what I had seen. And even to this day, it's something that has stuck with me and will probably stick with me for a very, very long time. And then I went to college, I did all the educational thing, and then about 2007, when I went to college, I wanted to do a film course. So I did like a film production course. The first year I had to do a drama, and the second year I was given the opportunity to do a documentary. And I thought, finally I can do something that I want to do. So I decided to do a small documentary on the ghost stories of Aberdeen. And it wasn't very well accepted by my peers or by my lecturers. They didn't really like it. They didn't like the idea of it being about ghosts, etc. But anyway, I went with it because it was something I was incredibly interested in. So I contacted my dad and said, "Dad, this is an opportunity for you to really tell the story of George and to explain exactly what happened at the times that you had George present." And so we went to my dad's school and we interviewed my dad and we did all the kind of shots and stuff. But then I also decided that I wanted it to be a little bit of a different documentary because I wanted to include a part of a paranormal investigation, which is something I'd never done before. So I included a small investigation at my dad's school to try and find George. We didn't catch any evidence, but it was still interesting to be able to do that paranormal investigation thing, which I had never done before. During my research into the ghost stories of Aberdeen, I had done quite a lot of research into the Toll Booth, which is the old prison in Aberdeen, and also we did like the old library, etc. I came across a paranormal group which was based in Aberdeen called East of Scotland Paranormal, and I contacted them to see if they would be willing to conduct an interview with me. However, it didn't conspire that the interview happened, unfortunately, but what they did say to me was that if I wanted to come along and speak to them, I could come along on an investigation to see what it was like. So I went along, I met them, we got on really, really well. Me and my partner went, and then we hit it off, and I became part of East of Scotland Paranormal. So both myself and Jessica, who's my partner, we both became part of East of Scotland Paranormal, and from there, my paranormal love, or my love for the paranormal, just exploded, and I was thinking about the paranormal every single day. I was thinking about locations, I was thinking about experiments, I was thinking about everything that we could do. East of Scotland Paranormal was quite a skeptical group, but they had some people who believed in spiritualism as well within the group, so it was kind of quite nice mix of people who had different views, etc., on the paranormal. So we did quite a lot of locations. We did Fyvie Castle, we did Provost Skene House, we also did Aberdeen Central Library and a pub called the Old King's Highway. And each investigation I went in with an open mind, and I was quite skeptical about the things that I had seen. Now, I wanted to believe in it, I really did, but the more and more investigations that I did, the less and less I believed in it. We decided in 2009, Jess and myself, that we would leave Aberdeen and we would move down to the southwest because that's where Jess is from originally, and we wanted to kind of be closer to her family, etc. So we moved down there, and in the process of us moving down there, we realised after about 4 or 5 months of us being down there that we actually missed investigating. We really missed doing everything with the paranormal. We missed running our own group. So in November 2009, we decided that we would set up our own group, do things our way. So we set up a group that was quite skeptical, quite open-minded, but also wanted to debunk a lot of things. So we set up Torchlight Paranormal Investigations, or TPI. And we didn't get a very good response to start off with. There wasn't a lot of people who wanted to get involved. But once we did get people involved, it kind of spiraled into this snowball, which just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I found that between the years of 2010 and 2012, my life was solely devoted to TPI, and I absolutely adored everything to do with it. I loved investigating. I loved looking for locations. I loved editing. I loved producing the videos. I loved during the investigation. I always find that during the investigation is when I'm really at my happiest because I absolutely love doing it. So having Torchlight Paranormal was something that I absolutely adored, and we visited some incredible locations. We went to Arnisvale Manor Hotel. We've been to the Ancient Ram Inn twice. We've been to Breandown Fort. We've been to quite a few pubs in Bristol, and we are still trying to this day to try and get locations. But at the end of 2012. There was a little bit of a hiccup with some of the members who unfortunately left on bad terms, and the Torchlight took a massive hit then, and I've just not really been able to bring it back to what it needs to be and to what it was. But I am still trying to find locations, and we're still investigating, and we're still doing quite a lot of paranormal research. So I am the team leader of Torchlight Paranormal, and so Paranormal Portal is this podcast is kind of like a side project from Torchlight Paranormal for me, just so I'm doing something still with the paranormal. And at the moment we've got myself and Jess, and we've got another member, Chris, and we all three of us really still have a massive love for the paranormal and still really want to carry on investigating. So that's really been a little bit about me and a little bit about my background within the paranormal. So we've got a Facebook page and a Twitter account. You can tweet us at ParanormalPort1 with the hashtag ParanormalPortal, and you can ask us anything that you want to. You can ask any questions about myself or anything about the paranormal or anything about the things that we've discussed, and I will include them in this show. We've also got a Facebook page so that you can then contact us. That would be Paranormal Portal. And you can send us messages or you can send us comments on there, and that would be greatly appreciated. So the next few episodes of the Paranormal Portal, we'll be discussing different aspects of the paranormal around ghosts and spirits. So maybe some famous cases or locations that we'd like to investigate or anything like that. I will be interviewing Chris, who is the newest member of Torchlight Paranormal, but I will be interviewing him in the next episode, so please keep an eye out for that. And until next time, guys, thank you very much for listening. I've really, really enjoyed hosting this podcast for you, and I hope you've enjoyed listening. You take care. Bye-bye.